Evil leaders often make it hard for people to see the truth by blaming others for what they, the wicked leaders themselves, have done.
Yeah. Look at verse 18. Now behold, if you will lay down your arms and subject yourselves to be governed by those to whom the government doth rightly belong, then will I cause that my people shall lay down their weapons and shall be at war no more. Really? So if you just surrender and let the government be controlled by the Lamanites, aka me, Amram, who in verse 23, am a descendant of Zoram. He's not a Lamanite, he's calling himself a Lamanite. Then we won't be at war anymore and we'll just all live in peace together. Really? Really? Notice verse 24, now behold, I am a bold Lamanite. Behold, this war hath been waged to avenge their wrongs and to maintain and to obtain their rights to the government. And I close my epistle to Moroni. Just be careful as we move forward that we stay focused on seeking truth from good sources, aka inspired sources, the scriptures, the living prophets, inspired leaders, and trusted people around us, rather than, there are a lot of voices out there, and there are a lot of people making claims of truth and promises for what will happen if you do certain things. We need to be careful. You'll notice that when there are these big differences of opinion, that sometimes our solution is to fight. Now, in Captain Moroni's case, in Helaman and the Stripling Warriors case, they have to fight. That is the world they're living in. That is their solution, is call upon God's help to strengthen them in fighting physically, pushing back. But in a lot of our cultural battles today, listen to these wise words from Martin Luther King Jr. Returning violence for violence multiplies violence, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. My good friend in the stake, John Manwaring, shared this quote with me yesterday, and it's stuck with me. This idea that when you see darkness, when you see hate, when you see conflict in relationships around you, the solution isn't to return darkness for darkness or hate for hate or conflict for conflict. It's to try to resolve, try to understand, and try to move forward.
We all deal with frustrating experiences in life, and we all deal with people with whom we disagree, okay? Hopefully not at the level of Moroni and Amram and Amalickiah. So, but there are a couple of things we want to keep in mind. The world is full of people who have disagreements, and it's okay to have disagreements. But it's important to learn how to communicate well. And let me just share with you something I read in a book recently about how to communicate in really difficult circumstances. First of all, there's 4 rules. You have to first restate what the other person's thoughts are. Like what do they actually think? What they've communicated something, restate it to them. And then you have to identify where you guys have agreement. In most cases, you can find something to agree with. You don't have to agree with people on everything, but there's probably something you agree on. So you have to identify what that agreement is, then state what you've learned from that person. Now that's hard because that takes a lot of humility. I would rather state what people should learn from me, but that's not how the rule works. You have to state what you've learned from the other person. Then only after you've done all that can you then identify and describe where there's still disagreement. So if you're dealing with difficulties in interacting with other people, maybe over disagreements, try this approach. And really be thoughtful about it, restating what they've said, identifying where you have agreement, expressing gratitude for what you've learned from them and being clear about that, and then describing what the disagreement is. Now, let me just finish with one other thought. Well, if you read Alma 54 again, you can see a lens through which to see the modern world, particularly the adversary's attack against us. The adversary is like Amram. The adversary wants to fight this eternal war to cause our extinction. And like Moroni, we have to be willing to defend the truth against the onslaught of the adversary.